In this video, I make a highly detailed diorama of SATRIALE'S meat market from The Sopranos. First thing I do is draw up some plans and work out the dimensions of the storefront. I use stills from the show and various images taken of the place as it was at the time of the show's production. I decided to do the diorama in O scale, which is 7mm to every foot. I figured this would be big enough to show off a lot of the detail, but still small enough to be a manageable size to work with. The main material I used for the build was XPS insulation foam. After cutting out the shop front, I did a little bit of cleanup using an X-Acto knife. This section was a little bit weak, so to stop the risk of it breaking off, I mounted some black cardstock to the back of the foam to keep everything in place as it was being worked on. Using a toothpick, I began carving out the brick pattern. With Vallejo light gull grey and NATO black, I give the whole thing a base coat. I make sure to fill all the cracks and cover any of the purple XPS. Next I use some beige craft paint to lightly brush over the top of the bricks. Using some stone and slate grey coloured craft paint, I randomly highlight individual bricks. Taking some 3mm by 1mm styrene rod, I paint it grey and cut it to size for the window lintels. Then I spray some 1x1mm styrene rod with Tamiya titanium silver for the window frames and partitions. I cut some acetate to size for the window glazing. With some red cardstock, I create the banner above the window interiors. I printed off some pictures I found on the internet, as well as some signs I made myself to use as decals. Using some sticky glue, I fixed them in place. I used 3M spray adhesive to fix elements of the store sign onto some 200 GSM cardstock. I did this to create some depth to the signage, as well as to make it easier to glue to the plastic later on. For the sidewalk and roofing, I used foam board. Here I measure and score the paving slabs. I use a pencil to lightly score the grooves in place. With a few varying shades of grey, I lightly build up the sidewalk texture with a sponge, dabbing the paint on lightly. I used a pencil to lightly go back over the grooves once the paint was applied. And then filled the lines using a 0.2mm micro pen. I also added some cracks to the pavement. For some added texture, I loaded a brush with some black paint and flicked it onto the sidewalk section. Using super glue gel, I fixed the roof section in place, which was painted using the same method as the sidewalk. Next I went to image.stl a free-to-use site that converts 2D images into 3D files, and imported the SATRIALE'S logo. The 3D file was pretty crude, so I then imported it into Tinkercad and cleaned it up a bit. I also created a bunch of different 3D files using Tinkercad for use on the diorama. I found the pig on Thingiverse created by the user Yahoo Japan. This was the first project that I got to use my newest investment on, which is an Anycubic Photon Resin 3D printer. To create the prints, you simply pour your resin into the vat, lock it in place, and press print. Once the printing is over, you need to clean any residual resin from your parts with isopropyl alcohol. For the best results, I used one initial wash of IPA and then rinsed them in a second lot before finally washing them in water. I let them dry in a paper towel and then placed them inside a UV nail light box for 30 minutes to cure. After that, it's just a case of cutting off the excess supports and cleaning them up with a file before applying the decals and painting them up. For the pig stand I used some more styrene rod. I also did the same for the hanging sign. For the back area of the store I used this evergreen styrene clapboard sheet with 2.5mm spacing. Finally, to frame the diorama I used some MDF board cut to size. This diorama is actually available to buy now on my Etsy store. I'll leave a link to it in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much.